Ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely fantastic news. I mean, absolutely fantastic news. I cannot tell you, ladies and gentlemen, how amazing this news is. Now, of course, Democrats are going to impeach President Trump. Who cares about that? The Senate trial, I explained in my last two uploads, and I will be doing a live stream in about 3 to 4 hours from now. But Justice Ginsburg puts temporary hold on Trump financial records dispute. This is hilarious. The one hope, the primary hope the Democrats have, I should say the most esteemed, liberal, iconic justice, has actually helped President Trump, which is hilarious. Key points. This is CNBC. This is just an hour ago. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg on Friday put a temporary hold on a court ruling that would require records held by Deutsche Bank and Capital One to be handed over to Democratic-led congressional panels. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg on Friday put a temporary hold on a court ruling that would require records held by Deutsche Bank and Capital One to be handed over to Democratic-led congressional panels. Trump's lawyers asked the High Court to put a hold on a December 3rd ruling by a Manhattan-based, of course, it's always Manhattan. I mean, New York, Comey, Strzok, Clapper, Brennan, they're all extensions of the DNC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, whatever. Trump's lawyers asked the High Court to put a hold on a December 3rd ruling by Manhattan-based Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals directing the two banks to comply with April demands by the House of Representatives Financial Services Committee and Intelligence Committee for financial records. In a brief order, Ginsburg said that the lower court ruling is now on hold until December 13th. The material sought by the committees includes records of accounts, transactions, and investments linked to Trump, his three oldest sons, their immediate family members, and several Trump Organization entities. Gee, wouldn't it be interesting to get all the financial records of everyone associated with, Biden, but also Bill and Hillary? Why not? Just because we are suspicious. Because Trump has not been accused of a criminal act. He has literally not been accused of a criminal act. They say he shouldn't have received loans, but that's not a criminal act. That's an issue with Deutsche Bank. That's an issue with Capital One. If Deutsche Bank says, you know what, the guy has a brand, we want to give him a loan we wouldn't give other people. Other people we wouldn't give the loan to, but Trump we would give the loan to because his name is Trump. That's an issue with the bank and the bureaucracy and the hierarchy or the leadership of the bank. That's not a criminal act. Giving a loan to Trump is not a criminal act. But anyway, they haven't even accused him of a criminal act. They want to just find out. They literally haven't. See, they could have impeached him on this stuff, but they can't because they haven't accused him of anything. Trump is the only person in American history who's been investigated without a predicate crime. Clinton, from Whitewater to the Clinton email server debacle to everything else. I mean, and Max Boot, interestingly enough, has a Washington Post article where he talks about, and this would be fantastic for it's whataboutism. I don't care. You can bring up, he brings up alleged security breaches that Trump gave classified intelligence to a foreign leader. That's according to a source at the New York Times. We don't know if that's accurate. And furthermore, he didn't run private servers with top secret and special access program intelligence for 4 years without the knowledge of the president in the Oval Office at the time. So Clinton had 2,000 plus classified emails. Michael Hayden, intelligence chief under President Obama, and Defense Secretary Robert Gates both say that her servers were compromised. Or that it's almost certain that her servers would have been compromised. So it's unbelievable, the moral relativism. Then you have Max Boot with his foreign policy. Never had an intervention that worked out. But anyway, Trump filed an appeal to the Supreme Court on Thursday in a separate case seeking to prevent the House Oversight Committee from obtaining financial records from Trump's longtime accounting firm and appeal court in Washington. Okay. The Supreme Court on November 25th granted Trump's request to put enforcement in the case on hold while the president appeals the matter. Both cases represent important showdowns over the powers of the presidency versus those of Congress. The only justification for Congress to look at Trump's financial records is a legislative purpose. They're not doing this for a legislative purpose. They're going after Trump. That's it. Okay, Clinton, money flowed from Uranium One into the Clinton Foundation. Why? Why? They say, oh, for altruistic purposes. Well, but they got their sale through. There was their business venture was allowed. He didn't veto. President Obama didn't veto the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity to Putin. So and yellow cake uranium was shipped out of the country, and there was a bribery and racketeering scandal on U.S. soil that Mueller indicted a Russian national over. It's not like that indictment had directly to do with the Uranium One issue. And then they got Uranium One shipped out of the country, and then the rebuttal is, well, we don't know if Putin got it. Well, it's like they live their lives behind plausible deniability, but they don't allow Trump any plausible deniability, like none. Their suspicion of Trump is like biblical. They have no anything that could possibly be a conflict of interest. They're going after, and they're already accusing Trump of criminal activity. But if it's them, it's like, well, the money from Uranium One, and the money from Boeing, and the money from UBS, and the money from derived from $10 billion for the people of Haiti after their natural disaster, horrendous tragedy. Where'd that money go? Then you had the weapons deal issue. That's a controversy that liberal journalists broke. David Sirota broke that story. So everything I say is backed up by public record and reputable sources that liberals and media and mainstream would appreciate. But anyway, the lower court ruling, if left intact, would bring House Democrats closer to getting some of the details about Trump's business interests, even as they pursue an impeachment inquiry focusing on his dealings with Ukraine. Interestingly enough, this is how you know they have nothing regarding Trump's records. They're not impeaching him on anything to do with his business transactions, because they don't have anything. If the rebuttal is, well, he's obviously committed crimes, they would have already impeached Clinton on Clinton Foundation pay-to-play schemes. There's a litany of 85 donors who gave $156 million. That wasn't debunked they say, well, it's none of it's been proven. Yeah, because there hasn't been a note saying we are accepting this money and therefore we will go ahead and give you a beneficial treatment. That doesn't happen. What takes place is while Clinton was in office, was Secretary of State, what she was able to do was basically get away with a money laundering scheme. Wealthy individuals gave money to the Clinton Foundation, and they got whatever they wanted to take place. Boeing got a big billion-dollar deal in Russia. Russia, by the way. UBS got hooked up with the IRS. Uranium One got a major transaction that actually included mines within the United States of America. $10 billion was raised from the tragedy that the people of Haiti experienced, the earthquake. 85 donors gave $156 million, and they miraculously got to see Clinton. So the whole thing's a bunch of nonsense. But let's go ahead. We'll continue. This is a huge win for Trump. The court has a 5-4 conservative majority that includes 2 Trump appointees. In the same case, the office of the Manhattan District Attorney, a Democrat, is seeking the returns as part of a criminal investigation into Trump and the Trump Organization, the president's family real estate business. A criminal organization based on what crime? You can't have... Okay, nobody accused Trump of criminal activity prior to 2017 when he became president. Clinton has been accused of criminal activity since Whitewater in the 90s. It's a different ballgame, and they're trying to always... Their lives are predicated upon making everything morally relative. So, that's what they're about. That's what this is all about, making every possible thing as morally relative as possible. Because Trump, he gets away with, he's a criminal. No, Clinton's actually a criminal. When Max Boot today writes an article in the Washington Post saying, I'm sick of the hypocrites who are Republicans who bring up her emails. She had servers outside of the United States government to hide her communication. And she deleted 30,000 emails where she decided what was classified and not. How does that even work? Mr. Boot either doesn't know anything about the Clinton email saga or he doesn't care. Either way, he's wrong. With all due respect. But anyway, all three cases could be put on a fast track, meaning if the court decides to hear them, a ruling would be possible before the end of June. But Justice Ginsburg puts temporary hold on Trump financial records dispute. The Supreme Court completely blocks Democrats from obtaining Trump's financial records for the moment. Now, they would not have done this had he been Al Capone or this major crime figure. He did not commit criminal acts. Because if he did, we haven't heard about them until he was running for president. Bill and Hillary have a litany of controversies spanning from the beginning of their tenure as politicians. They just, like moths to a flame, they can't get away from controversy. Media creates all of this. Media does not treat Trump in the manner they treat Bill and Hillary. They're very hands-off. They just report. And then it's still not good enough for Clinton. So they actually had to report on the Clinton email probe. They actually had to say, the State Department did find 22 top-secret emails. We don't want to talk, a little bit more about it. Like, how did she get those top-secret emails? And do you think anyone, hacked into her servers outside the U.S. government? And we wouldn't want to put two and two together and say, well, if they hacked the DNC, which we have no clue if they did, but let's assume that the ODNI and DHS reports their high confidence assessments are correct. Let's assume that the Russians hacked the DNC because they were so afraid of Hillary. Because Hillary wouldn't make NATO members pay their fair share. And, she's had such great, foreign policy successes like Bush's quagmires and never-ending conflicts. And, yes, by the way, Libya, the destruction of Libya. Since they intervened, it's been never-ending, nonstop mayhem, chaos, just a complete catastrophe. And different regions of Libya are run by different people. But you know what? Let's not get into that. Because, Democrats, at least they tweet nicely. At least they're not belligerent and orange. So, we can go on forever. The bottom line is the Supreme Court has consistently, when it comes to Congress trying to find Trump's financial records, they've always sided more or less with Trump. And the Supreme Court sides with Trump. Now, there has to be a predicate crime. Now, Supreme Court precedent states that congressional committees can actually obtain Trump's records, but only if it's for a legislative purpose. Only if they could link his, financial records or whatever they think is a conflict of interest to some kind of law that they want to pass. Otherwise, it's just simply to torment the president. And it's interesting, too, because could you imagine the uproar if Congress just decided to see Clinton's financial records, if she were president, without actually accusing her of a specific crime? Because if it's just about innuendo, there's a book called Clinton Cash by Peter Schweitzer, and it pretty much details every single aspect of the Clinton Foundation pay to play, or you can just read the New York Times and the Washington Post, or you can just read the Washington Post article that talks about Clinton purchasing the Steele dossier, which is a campaign finance violation. She used campaign money, and she funneled it through her law firm. Other people funnel their money through the Clinton Foundation, and they miraculously get what they desire. So the way the Clintons work is that, well, they're, removed. They're a couple steps removed from the graft. And then media is like, but she didn't know anything. You can't prove anything. With Trump, it's like, we got a dossier on him, says he likes bodily fluids, and Clinton purchased it, but let's go with it. It's like, well, no, you can't do that. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. Got a new segment up on yet another Howard Stern interview. I'll have another H.A. Goodman segment in a couple minutes. In a couple of hours, about 3 or 4 hours from now, we will have a live stream. Ladies and gentlemen, this year is going to be one of the most important years in the history of the United States of America. Definitely subscribe to my main channel, this channel of close to almost basically 150,000 subs, and my other channel, H.A. Goodman's other channel, ingeniously named. Let's get that to 20,000 subs. Give me your